I take Ms. Stewart? Are you here on the Zoom call or are you in court?
I'm here.
She come on right up there. Mr. Johnson, and have you put it at another table? Okay. And then Wyatt Johnson, if you're on,
Here, Your Honor.
picking him up, can you activate your camera?
And we also have my neighbor,
I
Chris
see
Looney.
it. I recognize him on there.
Thank you.
Okay, so before we get started, the pro tem may have gone over this, and if he didn't, I'm going to go over this now. You're here because you're either asking for or someone's asking for an anti-harassment order against you. We have a case here we're going to start today. The one case we're going to start with is people are asking for orders against each other. I'm going to need a little bit of explanation for. Just in terms of ground rules, what happens is I'll swear in the petitioner, usually the petitioner first, ask him or her why they need an order, and then I'll allow the respondent to respond. And then there's witnesses. I think Mr. Looney submitted, if I recall correctly, he submitted a written statement, which I've read. And if he wants to add to that, he can. And then, and then I may have some questions for one or both of you, and I'll allow you to respond to what you hear from the other party. But in terms of ground rules, don't talk over the other party. I want all comments directed to me, not the other person. And we'll go from there. So, as I said, in terms of, we have Jill Stewart asking for an order against Wyatt and Patrick Johnson. We have Wyatt Johnson asking for an order against Ms. Stewart. Both were requested on the same day. And now we're here on temporary orders. And so just because both are a petitioner, both are a respondent, I'll start with Wyatt Johnson. Can you raise your right hand, please? Your right one, please. And do you swear and affirm the information testimony you provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I swear.
And so I guess I started with you because I'm most confused by your request. It seems to me if you didn't want any contact with the Stewarts, you wouldn't drive your truck the way that you do. That is on video that I saw. I don't know if you had a chance to see that. That was videos were, some videos were submitted. Some witness statements were submitted. So I understand. Excuse me, put your hand down. You know, I'll talk when the time comes. I'll talk to you too. He's the petitioner. He's here on his own, so he's old enough to respond to my questions and speak for himself. But I'll give you a chance. So, Mr. Wyatt Johnson, how is it you need an order against Ms. Stewart?
I just would like to be left alone. I have no reason to be involved in their life at all. It's not my prerogative to see them or do anything with them. I don't want to hear anything. I have not tried to cause problems, and this all started the weeks prior to Tuesday, and going and texting my boss and texting people and saying a lot of gross things that people don't want to tell me because they're just not things that I need to hear.
I don't understand that last comment.
I just want to be left alone. I want my family to be left alone. That's okay. Why I want to petition.
All right. Well, I kind of think they want the same thing.
So I'm
going to hear from. Hang on, just a second. But you know, maybe I should have done this first. You know, harassment. There's a definition of harassment, which I'll read to everybody. So, unlawful harassment is a series of acts. Is a knowing and willful course of conduct directed at a specific person that seriously alarms, annoys, or harasses, or is detrimental to such person and serves no legitimate or lawful purpose. course of conduct is defined as a series of acts over a period of time, however short, evidencing continuity of purpose. So what series of acts are you alleging that Ms. Stewart has done to harass you?
Coming to my driveway, recording me every day, screaming at us or screaming at me. I never once tried to interact with them. Until Tuesday happened, I had no idea what the real issue was.
All right. Let me hear from Ms. Stewart. Ma'am, could you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear and affirm the information and testimony you provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, Your Honor.
You can put your hand down. And then go ahead, ma'am. I'll hear from you. You can speak as both a respondent and a petitioner.
Okay, I just have something written here real quick.
And you submitted a written document, which I have read.
did.
Go ahead.
Yes, and I'm not going to go over that. I was just going to have a couple other remarks that go against what Wyatt's petition specifically said. Because it was his repeated aggressive actions against me that were intended to annoy and scare me in my own home. Just one text message to his father led to his son aggressively driving past our home at all hours of the day, revving his engine to my and my neighbor's annoyance. It was apparent that the only purpose of his actions that weekend were to harass me and my family. There are a few things that I'd like to clarify after reading Wyatt's petition. For one, my husband was not home the morning of the 6th when the confrontations occurred with both Wyatt and Patrick Johnson. Second, in no way did I have prior knowledge of what my other neighbors were doing the morning of the 6th. I did not ask them to record Wyatt in the driveway, nor go out to flag them down after he stopped directly in front of my home to intimidate me. One of my neighbors, John, I did not know him prior to February 6th. I have his video submitted as evidence. Third, Wyatt stated that I called his father multiple times. I ask your honor that they submit evidence proving the statement. I never once called Patrick, only
Mr. Patrick Johnson in a second, but go ahead.
I never once called Patrick, only sent him the one text message that I submitted as evidence. The statement of my harassing his dad is false. Your Honor, I ask that you approve my request for an anti-harassment restraining order due to the fact that both Patrick and Wyatt cannot manage their anger that arose from the sending of one text message. The encounters with both men have left me feeling unsafe in my own home, and I fear for any future retaliation against me. I ask that you deny Wyatt's request against me due to the fact that one text message cannot be considered harassment. I also find it slanderous that he could accuse me of having a substance abuse problem when I did not even know his name prior to February 6th.
Mr. Patrick Johnson, you raise your right hand, please. You swear and affirm the information and testimony you provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do, Your Honor.
Okay, you're listed as respondent. You don't bring your own petition.
No,
I'll hear from you.
just was initially just taking this as neighbors not getting along and going about their way because we've never talked to them before, had any interaction. But anyways, Friday, February 2nd, I was working and got a phone call from a customer of mine stating that Jill had called him and asking for my phone number. I was like, okay, that's fine. I don't know them at all. So Bill gave him my phone number, in which I received this long text message just about Wyatt driving erratically, speeding up and down the road. And I ignored it. He's got a 10-month-old son that's in the truck with him 80% of the time. Most of the rest of the time, he's towing one of my trailers up and down the street in a school zone. And just so happens that the school zone ends and the speed limit increases to 35, going past the Stewart's home. Now, I've never been a big fan of his exhaust myself, honestly, and he knows that. It's loud and obnoxious, and it revs up as he leaves the 20-mile-an-hour zone to go to 30. So it's just the exhaust. He's not speeding. But anyways, Monday came, no interactions with anybody. Monday came, and my customer called me again and said her husband had called now, and he didn't know why, and he's going to call him back later that night. In the meantime, on the way home that night, I don't know if she realized I was the next vehicle behind my son or not, but she ran out to the curb with her phone, videoing him waving at him, which to me is a distraction to everybody on the road. But she walked away. We went home, blew it off. Mr. Eisman called her husband back, and he just stated that, from what I know in the brief conversation, that I didn't respond to her text message. I had no reason to. I don't know these people. I don't owe them anything. Anyways, went about my day. Tuesday morning, I left the house, and right around 8:15 or so, because I called in the incident report at 8:22 myself, when my son called me and said it was like an ambush. This John guy was at the end of the driveway, flashing a light off his phone at him, recording him. Well, I went down the road, tried to talk to them, got out of the truck, and was just met by vulgar language, got in the truck. I told him to go back home, which is my fault. I should just have him keep going and drive away from the situation, because he had to drive through it again to get back to the house. I came home in the meantime and listened to what he had to say in the driveway. And then I went down the street, turned around. I'm the one on the video in the truck, not my son. They wanted to hear a loud truck, and you want to harass my son and my grandson and send someone down to my home. I finally wanted an answer of what the problem is. So I revved it up. Nobody came out. I went up, knocked on the door, and I was, what is your deal? And she said, I don't know what you're talking about. Your son is harassing me.
Hang on just a sec. All right. Okay, I apologize. Continue.
We got in a heated argument. She told me to get off the property. I left, went home. Police called me back about 11:30 and just made another statement. And for the record, I've been served with nothing on this that I'm included in.
Well, a lot of stuff has been filed, and you
we've
have
received
access
nothing.
to the if you've not seen any of that? Or
No,
heard any of
nothing, not a word.
that? We're swearing Mr. Looney here in a minute, and I'll hear from him. And I saw the video, and if that's you driving that truck, making the gesture, it's not something I'd be bragging about.
No, I revved it up. I did not make any gestures
Okay,
going
well,
past the
someone
home.
did, then maybe that was someone else.
But it is just calling my customers, instead of coming down the street to talk to us, like she states we're neighbors, going to my customers and badgering them for my phone number and then calling them for no reason. Like, what are you looking to get out of this by calling friends and customers of mine instead of just talking to us?
I think that's a real easy question to answer.
But
in terms of what she wants to get out of it, what they want to get out of it is not to have you or your son drive through the neighborhood in the manner that I observed on the video there that was taken by somebody else, not her. And if it's confusing to you why that would bother people, that
well, if
makes
he
me
did,
scratch
I'm
my
unaware of that.
What's that?
So if he did, I'm unaware of that.
Well, I'm going to see if I can get this, since we're all here in court, I'm going to see if I can get that to show you. And I don't know whether I'll be able to or not, frankly. But anyway, I'll let you finish. You go ahead.
Well, that was it. I left, went home, waited for the police, and nobody came, so I went back to work. Also, if they would have just come down and talked to us, that truck is up for sale. His other truck was in the garage, so it's not loud like that one. It's not going to sound like he's speeding up and down the road. There were no prior complaints. There's no calls to the police for erratic driving, a loud truck, speeding, nothing. This just went from Thursday or Friday to Tuesday, and we have this. We don't bother anybody. We don't want any problems with anybody, and I assume they don't either. And so my outburst was somebody came to my home and threatened my kid and my grandson. And if that's what they're looking at, I feel the same way.
How was they were threatened? I don't understand.
Whatever he was saying to my son at the end of the driveway, why was this man at my home? I don't know him.
Okay, but I still don't understand the threatening. What threats were made?
He said he was going to pay for everything he's done.
Who, Mr. Looney?
I don't know who this guy is.
Okay. Right.
John's the only name I've ever heard. Even the police officers brought it up.
Mr. Looney, could you wish to call them as a witness, Ms. Stewart?
Yes, please.
Okay. Hi there. Could you raise your right hand, please?
Morning.
Do you swear and affirm the information and testimony you provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I swear.
Okay. You can put your hand down. What do you know about all this?
So in my written statement, I attest to the fact that we've heard Mr. Johnson's truck pause in front of the neighbor's house. I've witnessed it twice. My wife works from home and said it's happened at least 2 other times during the 2-week period that preceded the incident we're talking about today. The first time I sounded actually like a cracked manifold, and I thought perhaps there was car trouble. And Jill let us know that she was sorry. It seemed to be a response to the text that she had sent his father with concerns about his driving. Then I work away from home. I happened to be home sick on the 6th and was upstairs in my pajamas, and the truck paused long enough that I was able to put my clothes on. I wanted to walk outside and flag Mr. Johnson down and basically tell him that was enough. He needs to cut it out. I am not the person that was at his driveway. I actually also don't know where he lives. And I am not a person that I would make you do anything or make you pay or anything like that. I put on my kind of angry dad voice. I waved him down, drove down the street, parked, came down and talked. I said something like, "You've got to cut this out. This has to end." He said some things about the speed limit. I think we were maybe conflating 2 different issues. Pointed out that he had the right to do things in his driveway, to which I rejoined that there's not your driveway. This is in front of my neighbor's house and by default mine and the other 3 neighbors. There was a little bit more animated discussion about growing up and whether or not we were all grown-ups. There was the demand to come to his house, which is, I think, unnecessary, and also I didn't know where it was. And that was the end of the conversation. And that pretty much captures all of my knowledge about this situation.
All right. And then there was was Sadie your sister on the
Yes,
Zoom call? Does she have anything to say, or is she just here watching?
she's just here to support.
Okay. And then your husband's to your left.
Yes.
Do you wish to have him testify? Or it
Yes.
doesn't sound like he was there. Or maybe he was, I don't know.
He's been witness to the harassment, but he was not there on the morning of the 6th, like this petition states.
Okay. Could you raise your right hand, please? You swear and affirm the information and testimony you provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
You can put your hand down. Anything you wish to add to all this?
I think the original contact with their client boss, Bill. I've known Bill for a long time. I built the dock for him. I used to do work for him. I called him and mainly to get a character background on Wyatt to see if this was normal behavior. And he said this was not normal behavior. So I said, well, is it something that I can call and talk to them? And he said that he would call Patrick and talk to him. And then this is what has happened since then. And that was Monday evening.
How long has this been going on?
It started directly after the text message.
No, I mean the revving and all this sort of stuff, the thing that led to the
It would have
text message being
been,
sent in the first
what
place.
would be the Thursday or Friday before that? And then it proceeded for about a dozen times over the weekend.
Okay, so before the text message?
No.
That's what I
This-
want to find out. I want to
Yep.
find out what happened before the text
We were,
message.
we were trying to, I realized we cannot control anybody's driving.
That's true.
It's, all we can do is, it's a neighbor that we happen to have a contact to. So we just sent out a simple request to maybe ask his son to slow down, be more respectful of children and animals.
When I look at this text you got, and I have in front of me right now, it seems to me to be fairly innocuous. Why didn't you go talk to her about it and say, like, what are you talking about? Or talk to Wyatt. I mean, we're going to show you here this video here of someone driving. I'm going to find out who that is. And so again, when you see this text, which is, again, to me, pretty innocuous, just go back and say, like, even if you don't know what she's talking about, say, gosh, what are you talking about? What's the problem here? I resolve this.
Just didn't find any truth to it at the time. My son has a 10-month-old that's in the truck with him. He's towing my trailers. He's not driving erratically, is endangering people up and down the street.
Well, why didn't?
I don't know them. I didn't owe them anything. I didn't owe them a response.
Well,
I found it all false.
I mean, so you just think, well, gosh, someone's just making up something, so the heck with it.
Well, when he's driving my vehicles, unless I have proof otherwise, I'm going to believe my son. And when my grandson's in the truck most of the time, or he's towing one of my trailers, I know he's not messing around.
Unless you're there watching them, you don't know that.
Well, it's true, but all they have is hearsay. They,
I'll show you what they have here in a minute. With that. So Wyatt Johnson, I'll come to you. Anything you heard all these people talk. What, what's your response to all this? If you have one.
I would say I drive 7 to 8 times up and down this road a day, going to get parts, going to get random things, doing whatever I have to do to keep working. I want to see the videos also of where you were waving to me and I was waving back at you with no issues, and you were still recording, and I was not trying to hurt your feelings or be aggressive towards you. I was just expecting maybe a conversation at some point where you would come down and actually talk or message
I
me.
lost your audio for some reason. I can't hear you anymore.
Can you hear me again?
Yep, I can hear you again.
Where did I leave off? Where did you lose me?
Hang on just a second. Hey there. Can you connect? Can I, okay, go ahead. Well, let's wait here for a minute. We'll show these videos. I'll get some response from you folks, and then we'll go from there. In the meantime, we can just wait. I do have one question though. So you in your affidavit there, you said you've lived there for 10 years?
Yes.
How long have you lived where you live there?
4.5.
4.5. And so this only recently became an issue?
Mhm.
Fair enough. You'd
Yep.
never even known these people before this.
No, we know the owner of the house, and so that's how I knew that he lived down
Got
there.
it.
Yeah.
Got it. But this is all of this is a recent development.
Correct.
Got it.
And Your Honor, the only reason I sent the text message is because honestly, I didn't even know how old
Yeah,
Wyatt was.
I read the text message. You don't need to explain that to me. Okay. I'll show them all 4 of these. Okay. So there's one twice. There's one driving, I think. Yeah, all 4 of them. They're all short. Okay. Start with 261,235 first. So check this out. That's it.
That's a duplicate.
Ms. Stewart, who took that video? Was that you?
That was John Anderson.
You are harassing me at this point. You are harassing me. You are harassing me. You're doing that, so I will be calling the police.
Thank you, John. So, Mr. Wyatt Johnson, I guess I'll start with you. Based on that video, it looks like you were approaching that other individual who's not Ms. Stewart's husband. You had parked your car at your place and was coming back to confront them. Is that, am I reading that correctly? Or you can explain to me what was going on there?
Yeah, so when I drove down the road and I saw everybody was out and John was running down the street, as I said last time, I was in the wrong for this, but I held on the brake while I was going down the road and was trying to spin tires and create noise. And then once I saw that,
Wait, stop that. Say that again, please. You were trying to spin.
yes, in a sense, yes,
Sense you were on the road trying to spin your tires.
yes.
You may continue.
And when I saw everybody was outside, I went and parked my truck and put it up, walked it up, and walked down to conversate.
What was your intention in going back there?
I hadn't spoken to them before, so I had no intention. I just wanted to see what was going on and have a conversation.
Okay. Mr. Patrick Johnson, earlier you had said that basically that this was just someone speeding up from a school zone, which is 20 miles an hour, to a 35-mile-an-hour speed limit, and that may account for the noise. If I understood your earlier testimony correctly.
Correct, Your Honor.
Was that what you just saw? Is that?
No, but he still wasn't over the speed limit.
Right. No, but I mean, well, let me ask you this question. What would you think if somebody drove by your house frequently and did that?
He wasn't.
I know what
doing
I'd think.
I know what everybody thinks, but he wasn't doing it frequently until she started going outside with the camera and taunting him. And that was very unimpressive, but still,
do you
she had
think that
people.
do you think that maybe it was that sort of behavior that led her to send the text in the first place?
I don't know if I've ever seen or heard of him doing something like that before.
Well, he probably doesn't do it when you're watching, which is what a lot of kids do when their parents aren't watching.
Why couldn't they just walk down the block and a half and talk to us?
Well, they kind of did with that text.
I don't find that as the same thing, Your Honor.
I mean,
she claims the neighborly stuff and we're here if you need anything, but they just send a text and then they're badgering customers for my phone number and talking about it.
All right. You just heard him say that he was intentionally trying to peel out.
Because they're outside with cameras antagonizing, waiting for it.
Which makes even less sense that he would do that if he was on camera. Most people, when they're on camera, they take steps to be on their best behavior. So, I mean, the fact that you're on camera, it's like, okay, let me demonstrate what I've been doing, basically, which is.
I think he was frustrated that it wasn't the first time she was outside with cameras.
Probably not, because.
Been denied, and now we have them in all of my trucks due to this situation. I don't know. At the end of the day, Your Honor, we had left each other alone before. The truck is actually up for sale, and he has a different one now that's not anywhere near as loud. And he's leaving in 3 weeks for a job out of state. So I don't know. I think everybody just wants to be left alone.
Mr. Johnson, Wyatt Johnson, anything you'd like to say at this time?
No, Your Honor.
What do you think about the way you conducted yourself out there?
As I said last time, that choice that I made while it was on camera was not the right choice. And it was out of anger. And I'm waking up at 8:30 and you guys wait until 2 minutes for my dad to leave to everybody swarm in. And yeah, I got upset and I should not have. And then I tried to talk to them and was met with disgusting name calling and gross names. And all I did was just try to talk to them like a natural person. And everything they were saying to customers or to our customer was stuff they didn't want to tell us because it was asinine and disgusting. So I just assumed that whatever they were going to have to say to me was going to be awful. But when I saw everybody outside, I figured it was a time to talk.
All right. Where's he going out of state?
Minnesota.
Okay, for how long?
Oh, for good. That's where we're from.
Okay. And then what's he doing there?
Lumberyard.
All right. Anything you'd like to say? Any follow-up?
No, I just want this to be done.
Okay, well, I think everyone wants that. That's for sure.
I do want to say that you saw in the video of what I said to him, and never did I call him any names on any level. So it's just, they're grasping at straws at this point.
So we have a number of petitions here. We have Ms. Stewart's asking for a petition against both Johnsons. Mr. Wyatt Johnson is the only petitioner asking for an order against Ms. Stewart. And so what I'm going to do is as follows. As I said before, I read the definition of harassing is a series of acts over a period of time that is nothing more than to harass, vex, or annoy, or anything like that. With regard to Mr. Wyatt Johnson against Ms. Stewart, I don't make any finding that Ms. Stewart engaged in any sort of harassing behavior against Mr. Wyatt Johnson, so that petition will be denied. Ms. Stewart indicated asking for a petition against both Johnsons, Mr. Patrick Johnson and Mr. Wyatt Johnson. Mr. Patrick Johnson, maybe I have some concerns about the way he responded to the reach out from Ms. Jill Stewart. I certainly can't make any finding that Mr. Patrick Johnson engaged in any sort of harassing behavior, so the petition against Patrick Johnson will be denied. However, with regard to Wyatt Johnson, it's clear to me that when someone drives by someone's house and that's a loud truck, they're doing it for one. I mean, it is. And when you're revving it like
it's a
that,
glass pack when his exhaust rusted out. He
Okay,
put it
well,
on in July.
but still loud trucks and actually revving it in the manner that was done. I mean, you're only doing it to bug a person as far as I can tell. So I will find that Wyatt Johnson engaged in that. I'll enter an order just for Jill Stewart against Wyatt Johnson. And that's it. There's not going to be a distance restriction. It's not going to affect his ability to get to and from his own home. It's just behave yourself. And somebody said this, and you're probably going to disagree with this, Mr. Wyatt Johnson, but you need to grow up and learn how to drive. And your dad says that your child is there with you. I see things all the time where people do crazy things in cars with children, and I'm sure he doesn't do it in front of you. None of us know what he's doing without them. But when I have neighbors, Ms. Stewart herself, and then other neighbors saying this is what's happening, and it's not just her, and it's driving everyone in the neighborhood nuts, frankly. And so knock it off, basically. And good luck in your job when you go to, and you folks lived near each other peacefully for a number of years. I don't see any reason why that can continue, but that'll be my order. And given the fact that he's leaving, it'll be a shorter order. It'll just be in place for 6 months. By that time he's gone, the order will go away, and that'll be the end of it. Do you understand where I'm coming from, Mr. Wyatt Johnson?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, and that's it for today. You can get a copy of, I'll sign this, and you can get copies of this off the Thurston County District Court website.
Thank
And
you.
basically the honor is just, you're not to contact them, you're not to communicate with them, cause them no harm, don't engage in stalking behavior, and just don't come onto their premises, basically. But I'm not going to do a distance restriction to make him, don't come with you. He has to do all kinds of automotive gymnastics to avoid the home. But if you've learned anything out of this, you need to learn, again, you need to learn how to drive, frankly. But that's what I'm going to do here for today. Good
Yes,
luck
Ron.
to everybody, and hopefully this will put an end to it. And you all may go.
Thank you.